Alpha, Omega. 2. The only by me revealed and given reality way of Adidam is founded on a thoroughly ego-transcending, rather than either an ego-negating or an ego-fulfilling and ego-glorifying approach to divine or real God-realizing life and practice. That is to say, the only by me revealed and given reality way of Adidam is founded on the always intrinsically ego-transcending and always immediately ego-vanishing devotional recognition response to my avatarically self-revealed divine form and presence and state. And on that to me devoted basis, the only by me revealed and given reality way of Adidam matures as a subsequent and effectively ego-transcending process of spontaneous and thorough self-observation, eventual most fundamental self-understanding, and at last, inherently most perfect transcending of egoity. And in the only by me revealed and given reality way of Adidam, the inherently most perfect transcending of egoity is realized entirely by means of my avatarically self-revealed and avatarically self-transmitted divine transcendental spiritual grace, and the inherently most perfect transcending of egoity is thus and thereby realized as the intrinsically ego-transcending and perfectly egoless self-nature, self-condition, source condition, and self-state of inherent self-identification with me, the divinely avatarically self-revealed transcendental, perfectly subjective, inherently non-separate, inherently non-different, inherently spiritual, intrinsically egoless, inherently perfect, perfectly accursal, and self-evidently divine self-nature, self-condition, source condition, and self-state of all and all, rather than on the basis of and as an expression of any propositions about how either to negate or to fulfill the conditional self and its desires or its search in the conditional worlds. In the only by me revealed and given reality way of Adidam, the real practice of the transcending of egoity requires a constant and really and truly effective confrontation with the apparent difference between the apparently two and polar opposite dimensions of the inherently one and only and intrinsically indivisible reality. Those two dimensions of the necessarily one and only and indivisible reality are the non-conditional or primary, senior, most perfectly prior and truly divine dimension of reality, and the conditional or cosmic and subordinate and entirely dependent dimension of reality. First, or relative to the non-conditional dimension of reality, there must, in the practice of the only by me revealed and given reality way of Adidam, be a constant, moment-to-moment and really and truly effective confrontation with the ego-made and ego-protecting and ego-serving limit on the expressed urge toward most perfectly ego-transcending and fully and most perfectly transcendently spiritually awakened real God realization, and the process that, in every moment or circumstance, must become ego-transcending real God communion. That is to say, the present or moment-to-moment urge toward most perfectly ego-transcending real God realization must be constantly intensified and increased, if actual or really effective transcending of egoity and thereby growth through and beyond any present stage of practiced maturity in the only by me revealed and given reality way of Adidam is to occur. Second, or relative to the conditional dimension of reality, there must, in the practice of the only by me revealed and given reality way of Adidam, be a constant, moment-to-moment, and really and truly effective confrontation with complacent, ego-protecting attitudes toward present experience, binding and ego-serving attachments to conventional or everyday living arrangements, or orderly means for maintaining emotional immunity and egoic security, and ego-made illusions about conditional existence in general, or presumptions that cannot bear the test of even the ordinary or conditional dimension of reality, and that express the egoic want to indulge in conditional existence for its own sake, rather than accept conditional existence as a school of transcending egoity in that which is reality itself, truth itself, and real, the causal God. Therefore, the only by me revealed and given reality way of Adidam involves a constant confrontation with the countless self-deluding and ultimately self-defeating limits that the ego I, or psychophysical self-contraction, would otherwise superimpose on both the conditional or apparently separate and ego-based or egoically conceived reality and the non-conditional or transcendental, perfectly subjective, inherently spiritual, intrinsically egoless, inherently perfect, perfectly acausal, and self-evidently divine reality. The real practice of the only by me revealed and given reality way of Adidam is always engaged in the context of a dynamic and, necessarily, really and truly ego-surrendering, ego-forgetting, and ego-transcending struggle between the great urge toward most perfectly ego-transcending, non-conditional, and fully and most perfectly transcendentally spiritually awakened divine self-realization via true and full and really ego-transcending devotional communion with me in every moment, and by readily maturing in the practice of the reality way of Adidam and the ego-based and ego-reinforcing urge to be complacent or content with the average context and the familiar associations of conditional experience, and also reluctant to encounter further demands for a greater demonstration of the transcending of egoity.